And there is no, it's not like ranking in Google in the old way of backlinks where you rank and basically if you type in podcast microphones and you're in Dallas, you're going to see pretty much the same results as I see down here in Austin. With AI, my past search history and your past search history changes that completely. So there is no ranking in AI. It's being the answer for what questions people ask and being the authority.
Welcome to the Ecomm Breakthrough Podcast. Are you ready to unlock the full potential and growth in your business? You've already crossed 7 figures in sales, but the challenge is knowing how to take your business to the next level.
Do you want to know what's working right now in e-commerce as things continue to shift on Amazon, onto TikTok Shop, and now agentic commerce coming down the pipeline? You're going to be talking with one of the most well-renowned persons in e-commerce today, and he's going to be sharing his insights in terms of what is actually working. Welcome to the Ecomm Breakthrough Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Hadley. I scaled my own brand from 0 to 8 figures in sales, and now my mission is to take it to over 9 figures. On my journey to 9 figures, I bring you the unfiltered conversations with the smartest minds in e-commerce. Past guests include Ezra Firestone, Stephen Pope from My Amazon Guy, and Michael E. Gerber, author of The E-Myth. Today's guest is someone our audience already knows and respects, and I'm excited to have him back on the show. Kevin King is not just a veteran Amazon seller, he's one of the most connected and influential figures in the entire e-commerce space. He's been selling online for decades and has built and exited multiple brands and continues to operate in the trenches, not from theory, but from real-world execution. When Kevin speaks, it's not just his own experiences, it's the insights that he has gathered from the top 1% of sellers globally. So if you're a 7 or 8 figure seller looking to break into the next level, you're about to hear from someone who has a front row seat to what the best marketers in the world are doing right now. With that introduction, welcome back to the show, Kevin.
Hey, glad to be here, Josh. Good to see you again, man.
Kevin, as we begin this episode, you've got a wicked brilliant event coming up. Why don't you describe Market Mastery AI coming up? What is it?
Yeah, I know I got all these different names. It's Market Masters. That's the event that you always come to that's down in Austin. Next one's in when is it? August 20th to the 24th. But before that, in April in Nashville, Tennessee, we're doing Ecomm Mastery AI featuring BDSS. And that's you've been to a lot of the BDSS events. You've spoken, you've won a few prizes here and there at them almost every time. I think not here and there, but almost every time you or your wife are taking home some sort of cash or medal or something. But I'm changing it up a little bit because we've always done exotic locations like Hawaii and Iceland and Puerto Rico, and we did Austin for a while, and it was high ticket, but the market has changed. And so the highest ticket is now 3,000 instead of 6,000, and there's tickets as low as $500. And so my contract with Helium 10 used to limit me to how many people I could have in an event. At first it was 50, and then when they renewed it, it was 100, and most recently 150. Well, my contract with Helium 10 ended November of last year, so now I'm a free man, so I can do it a different way. And they did that because they were planning on doing a whole bunch of their events. They didn't want me competing against them. So wise move. But so this year we got about 500 sellers coming. We've got about 100 creators coming, 41 of the top most elite e-com sellers, speakers out there. I mean, it's a all-star lineup of speakers. And we got 2 different stages. So one stage for a little bit more basic and beginner, another stage for the more advanced people. We have an event where creators are meeting sellers where we have over 100 creators, some of these with millions of dollars of TikTok GMV coming in, looking for products and partnerships to make with brands. So the brands will be able to bring samples and meet these creators. We got a Dream 100 rooftop party one night. We got a Marketing Misfits party. We got the welcome party. It's going to have robots and cowboys and all kinds of stuff. The exhibit hall is set up like an Asian night market. So we're actually designing every one of the booths, and whether it's Helium 10 or Titan or whoever it may be, we're designing their booths, so it's all uniformed. And when you walk through, one of them's going to be like a robot repair shop. One's going to be like a gas station in space, and it's all kind of cool. So it's not only is it amazing content and amazing network, it's going to be an amazing experience. And the FOMO is going to be real for those that aren't there.
Well, I know I'm going to be there. My wife's going to be there. I know
I'm speaking.
Way excited about it. We're both speaking. But even if I weren't speaking, I would be there. Again, some of the stuff that I've learned at your events has been some of the most brilliant stuff working out there in the e-commerce space. So I know
it's like
bring it.
I know your wife has to get back. You're staying for the fun day, right?
I'm not staying for the fun day.
Oh,
we're doing Sunday.
Yeah, we're doing an open mastermind that morning before we go out and have some fun. And we're going to be sharing stuff like what I shared with you right before we started here. That kind of stuff, just off the cuff, kind of cool stuff with each other. So you're going to miss that, man.
I know. You got too many fun things and many wicked smart things. And I've got 4 kids that
Yeah,
need
you
my
got 4
time and
kids. I know.
attention.
I know.
So,
You got other responsibilities are more important.
but no, it's all good. But definitely highly recommend people go check it out. So the website is ecommmastery.ai. You also have a new one too, right? ecommmasteryai.com.
Right.
So
Yeah, you can go to either one if you want to get go get all the full details, and like that's at ecommmastery.ai. If you want to just like, okay, I'm in, but don't confuse me and don't tell me all the little details, ecommmasteryai.com.
all right, Kevin, today we're going to be diving into like what in the world is actually going on. And I feel like out of all the people out there in the e-commerce space, you're one guy that has their finger on the pulse really well. You've got one of the largest newsletters for e-commerce sellers. And so you know what people are clicking on, what people are reading, what they're engaging with. So my question to you right now is, Kevin, what do you see people thinking about, interested in right now in the e-commerce space?
I see fear and confusion mostly. I mean, there's a lot of people who are wondering what's going to happen to my business with everything that's going on, whether it's political climate, whether it's global things from wars to tariffs to you name it, to AI. How is AI going to affect what I'm doing? And I'm seeing some sellers are embracing it and they're diving deep in and they're good. And then a lot of sellers are just kind of like, I'm scared. I don't know if I'm going to lose all this. And the lower ends, for a period there, you had amazing.com and you had all these guys pumping out all kinds of stuff. You had all the Lamborghini sales guys on YouTube, and a lot of that has gone away. Amazing is still around, and they focus on the beginners, and they're doing fine. They'll be in Nashville, but that is a much tougher climb now for the new person coming in. It used to be you could just pretty much use a tool like Helium 10, figure out something that's working, go to Alibaba, get it, put your name on it, and sell it, and have a chance to make some money. Those days are done. With the amount of competition and the amount of complexity it takes now to sell, you've got to create a real brand. And that's difficult for a lot of people. They don't come from knowing how to do that. And you got to wear a lot of hats in the beginning because most of them don't have a lot of money, and a lot of balls get dropped, and they're impatient, and it takes time to build a brand, and they're not willing to spend that money. And so that's difficult because, this is their $10,000 life savings. They want to quit their job, and they're hoping to get this up in 3 or 6 months and quit their job. And it just doesn't work that way. And the people at the higher end are doing well. I'll know more. We just did a big, huge survey. I did this with the guys over at Titan to get some data on the state of how people were actually feeling. But based on the newsletter, the newsletter goes out to, I have 80,000 people on the newsletter. I don't send to all 80,000 every issue because I keep it pretty clean. And so you have to be engaged. If you're not engaged, I take you off. I don't take you off the marketing list, but I take you off the newsletter list to keep that very high open rates and high deliverability. But in there, there's a lot of people that are confused on where they should be. They're Amazon sellers, and they're like, do I need to go to Shopify? Should I go to Walmart? Should I go international? What about I hear about ChatGPT? As now you can buy within ChatGPT. What do I need to do? And it's just a lot. And people are like, you know what? I got information overload. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm just going to stick the course. And for a lot of them, that's going to be a mistake. They're gonna slowly or quickly in some cases fade away. And with where the people that are going to have the advantage are the people that are playing the game. I mean, you just look at OpenClaw. There's Andrew Erickson has been doing a call the last couple of weeks for people that are playing with OpenClaw, and it's for e-commerce sellers. You hear about all the geeks playing with this and automating all this stuff and geeking out, but how does that apply to e-commerce sellers? So he's hosted a call through the $1 Billion Sellers WhatsApp group just for free. And I have not played with it. I installed it, but I haven't had time to go play with it, but I understand it. But someone like Rob Green, I think you met Rob at maybe one of the Market Masters events. He's deep in it. And he's like, dude, we just fired 20 VAs. I just set this whole, and he's like explaining what he's doing. It's like, damn, dude, you're like on it. And it's like, these 20 VAs, we don't need them anymore. This researcher, we don't need anymore. This one. And he's just naming, and he's showing how he's doing it. And we're like, the people that are playing that game, and he's in it technically. So most people aren't technical, but it's going to get to where it's like an iPhone, and you can just plug and play. But it's not there yet, but he's way ahead. And that increases his margins, increases his efficiency. It increases everything. And so, you just look at what I showed you before we came on today on how to research podcasts. You can do that for products too, and what I did would have taken a VA a week maybe to do that. And I did in 10 minutes with complete, it's ready to go. That's the advantage. And that's where it's the backside. Because I've always said the money is made in the sourcing, not in the selling. The selling's not going away. People still going to need to buy stuff. And so it's how can you increase your margins and compete when other people are coming in? And that's where the game is completely changing, and it's going to quickly change in the next few years, I think.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think that the challenge that most sellers have, it's you hit the nail on the head where it's unlimited opportunities, but limited resources, right? And it's
Yeah.
being able to prioritize, which essentially is what business strategy really is. It's unlimited opportunities. You could sell on any channel you want, but with your limited time and resources, which one should you actually focus on? And theoretically, you should always be focused on the one that will provide outsized returns for you. So, Kevin, I guess my question is then, so what are, if you're saying that the legacy, hey, go buy a private label product and sell it on Amazon, if that's a dying business model, which I totally agree with, then what's the next up and coming business model that's going to be an arbitrage opportunity for these sellers to maybe gravitate towards?
I don't know if it's, well, arbitrage, the biggest arbitrage right now is in social media. So that's the biggest arbitrage, where if you can do social media right, you can do it without having to put a lot of money up front. I mean, you do this, you've built an army of affiliates and stuff, and you've got some resources and some ways that you've done that. But if you either you as the company, or you can work with people, and there's some challenges in this. I'm not saying that it's easy, but arbitraging other people's time and other people's audiences is huge. And so social commerce is, I mean, TikTok Shop depends on the report, but somewhere around, because they're not public, around $20 billion in sales this year, or this last year. This year expected to go up 30, 35. You see some different numbers around there, but somewhere around there. You know, that's a Prime Day weekend for Amazon, Cyber Monday, Black Friday to Cyber Monday weekend. So it's still small compared to Amazon's 800 billion GMV. 800 billion is not what Amazon takes in, but when you count what the third party sellers sell, Amazon's part of that's like 400 or something. But it's a fraction of what Amazon takes in on the product side of things. And then you look at Walmart. Walmart's like 100 and something billion, but a lot of that is not e-commerce. That's people they're buying to go pick up in the store or something. It's not really the same type of thing. It's not third party stuff. It's in-store stuff. So the social media side is small right now, but it's huge. I mean, TikTok and influencer marketing can be huge. That's where the next leverage is, I believe, is in that. And combining that, you need to be on Amazon. Doesn't mean you need to not sell on Amazon. Amazon's a shopping cart of choice for a lot of freaking people. You need to be there because that's where a lot of them are going to go. But you also but you lose a lot of control on Amazon. The downside is, you have all the eyeballs and the trust, but it's very difficult to build your own lists. I mean, you can do product inserts and stuff, but it's difficult to actually build a list and to control the way your product is presented to AI. So you need to be on Shopify. So in Shopify, you can actually, or WooCommerce or whatever it is, and you need to have your own website that's like a blog or something that you fully control all the schema, all the AEO stuff, all the content that's just pumping there. Or you could use Shopify, but Shopify, you have to go under their rules, but they're much better. And then you got to take a look at, like, how do I optimize for what's coming with agentic, whether it's agentic or if it's just people going to ChatGPT and doing all their product research there, and how do you get to be recommended as one of the 3 products, and how is that game play? And Amazon's not playing that game right now, even though they just invested $50 billion in OpenAI. They may change their tune, but so how do you play that? And that's more of a long-term game, but that's more being prepared for a year or two from now than it is making money now. So a lot of people aren't willing to make the investments, and I call it AEO, answer engine optimization. Some people call it GEO. It just depends on your preference there. There's no set, but it's basically trying to be the answer in AI.
Yeah.
And there is it's not like ranking in Google in the old way of backlinks, where you rank and basically if you type in podcast microphones and you're in Dallas, you're going to see pretty much the same results as I see down here in Austin. With AI, my past search history and your past search history changes that completely. So there is no ranking in AI. It's being the answer for what questions people ask and being the authority. And you have to become an authority by having reviews out there, by having people talking about you in Reddit, by being on social media, by being a real brand. So right now it's becoming a real brand and not just a seller. That's a huge shift for a lot of people they're trying to sell an e-com, and it's a much bigger play. It's not a get rich quick thing. And that's what brought a lot of people in. I mean, Amazing.com sold $150 million worth of courses in like 3 years, 3 or 4 years. But it was off hey, look how easy it is to get, make a bunch of money. And a lot of people did, and they exited for a lot of money. But those days are over.
Yeah. Nope. I totally agree. Here's the good news. So what you said is like, yeah, there's still a lot of confusion out there of like, well, what does it mean for me to actually build a real brand? And, a lot of people would say, oh, well, I have my brand store on Amazon and my brand is trademarked, so I have a brand. I'd say, no, you're way far away from
you have a name. You have a name.
But that's about it. So here's kind of the recommendations, because Kevin, I've got a lot of people that have asked me the same thing, like, where should I spend my time? Because I'm hearing about AEO optimization. I hear about integrating with chat. I hear about TikTok Shop is the hot girl at the dance right now. I also know I need to have my own Shopify so I can, own my own customers and their email list. Those are all great things. But here's the way I would like systematically help sellers like understand these are the steps I would take first and foremost. So number one, most people listening to this, they probably got started on Amazon and they already have a 7-figure brand on Amazon. That's great. The good news is Amazon is the shopping platform of choice for 75% of Americans, which is fantastic. So theoretically, it's like you are on all the store shelves of Target, but you're on the world's biggest like shopping mall. And that's great. And you understand it. That's a massive advantage compared to maybe some of the legacy brands that were just like brick and mortar wholesale that don't understand Amazon. So take that for what it's worth. Like Amazon is a very, very valuable skill set. But here's where I think people are going wrong, Kevin. And this will be really interesting with how AI works into this and OpenClaw. But the challenge is too many sellers are still stuck working inside their business. They're still the person that has to create all the shipping labels. They're still the person forecasting their inventory and making the calls. They're still like working in the weeds of the business and not necessarily on the actual business, which comes down to either hiring people or getting very technical and having agents, AI agents working for you. But even at that, you've got to get really good at creating SOPs so that the agents actually perform what you want them to do and they don't blow up your business on the reverse side. But first and foremost, you've got to systematize Amazon and what you already have working. Once you've done that, then you can graduate to the next phase, which is go take a look at AEO or go take a look at Shopify or go take a look at TikTok Shop. And really, you just need to look at all of your options and say, which of these do I think can produce the highest return in the shortest amount of time? And you touched on this. And I do believe as it stands today, social commerce is, I think, the biggest arbitrage opportunity of this decade. And eventually, I'm sure the next decade will be all about AI. But for the time being, it is leveraging like brand awareness and working with these creators. And here's the arbitrage I see. On TikTok Shop, all I have to do is send people a free sample. That's great. That's easy. I can do that. But there's only, I think it was the stats I read, like 3,000 creators that have over 100K in GMV on a consistent basis every month. So it's like, all right, you only have 3,000 creators. Every single brand wants to be working with those 3,000 creators only. So guess what? The rates of those 3,000 creators, because they're in so much demand, is going to get higher. So what I see happening over the next year or two is like a lot of these experienced creators are going to be like, yeah, a sample doesn't cut it. Like now it's like the old influencer marketing. It's like, I'm already proven. So you can pay me $1,000 just to make one post for you. Then I'll talk about you. So right now, the
$1,000 plus an affiliate
commission. Yeah. So today the arbitrage is like, get them while they're cheap and build your affiliate list before they become too expensive.
And don't treat, and the other was treat them like they're part of your team. Don't treat them like they're just some person out there. I mean, I know like Tiffany, she's speaking in Nashville. She does 21 million on TikTok and 0 on Amazon. She knows she needs to be on Amazon, but 0 on Amazon selling pants. But she brings in her top affiliates or creators to Houston, where she's based, at least once a year, sometimes twice, and they just go do fun stuff together. She flies them in, puts them in a hotel. They go and they shoot some content and they go and have a nice dinner and go to one of the amusement parks or club or whatever they do, just to create that little family, that little bonding, that little thing. And that goes a long way. So a lot of people don't just look at them as indispensable tools, but treat them as part of your team.
Yeah.
That's huge. But yeah, I agree with you that social is huge, and TikTok gets a lot of it, but Amazon live shopping is not in the US, in China, it's ridiculous. In the US, it hasn't caught on. You have QVC, it's about to declare bankruptcy and they pivoted to try to go in a TikTok shop, and they're only doing like 5 or 6 million a month or something like that. They're having a hard time getting that to work. So in the US, live shopping hasn't taken off yet. Now, will it ever? I don't know. But in China, they don't buy anything unless they've seen it with a person. I mean, it's much more difficult to just sell off a plain website than it is with a person. But you have Amazon Live, you have Instagram, you have all these other channels. And now with AI, you can test, like what you said, is systemize it and know what you're going to do. And then how can AI apply to that to actually, you teach the AI how to do it one time, and then it does it over and over and over. I saw people with OpenClaw. One of the guys has like 8 Mac Minis sitting on his desk, because each Mac Mini is an OpenClaw, and each Mac Mini has a name. This is Sarah, this is John, this is Bill. Bill's in charge of finance, Sarah's in charge of marketing, Bob's in charge of product research, and each one of those is a very specific task, and they're talking to each other. That OpenClaw Claw when it came out, and now it was Claudebot when it came out. But when it first came out, that's a radical shift. We're just at the beginning, but that's a radical shift. That's why OpenAI and Claude both came after. Claude actually told him to quit using our name. Then they tried to hire him, and then OpenAI hired him, and brought him on for millions of dollars because they're like, this is where it's going, and we need to be on that. And this guy is he's like the Steve Jobs or something of our time. That's like sees it differently, and it's changed everything. It's just going to get better. So that's from an operational point. It's just like the old people always come to me and say, Kevin, what's a good PPC agency? I'm like, I don't know. I've used these three, but that doesn't mean they're any good. It's the person I got. When I hired Clear Ads back during COVID, he signed me his top agent because it's me and he doesn't want to screw it up. And then George, the owner, got on every call. That's the exception. That's not the rule. They're trying to make sure that, there's no way I could badmouth them and say they suck or something. So they're trying to do everything they can. But usually at most PPC agencies, there might be 15, 20 BAs. It's the person you get assigned to your account is going to determine whether you succeed or how well you do. What if the top person at every PPC agent could be your Mac Mini, your Sarah, and then just crushing it all the time, never having to rest, never having to sleep unless the power goes out. And that's where it's going to get to, and to be efficient and be able to work at the margins you're going to need to work at in Ecomm. And Ecomm is growing. I mean, it's not like, okay, it was a fad. No, it's not. I mean, look at Amazon's growing every year. Their sales are growing every year. Walmart is growing. It's all growing in the U.S. and then beyond the U.S. It's growing too. There's nowhere in the world that I know of that sales we're on a downward curve. It's slowing. It's not growing as fast year over year, but still growing. I mean, look at Amazon. When you and I started like 10 years ago or something, I think Amazon's total revenue was something like 160 billion, something around there, around 2015, 150 billion. Now it's 800 billion and growing every year. It's not going away, and it's only going to get bigger. And it's the people that know how to operate efficiently and effectively and market efficiently and effectively are going to be the winners. And some of that's using these tools to cut cost and to be fast to market, being the first guy to, someone comes out with a new, whatever it is, on the World Cup that's happening this summer, there's some sort of new gadget that everybody's wearing on their hand. I don't know, for some sort of sweat protection. And the first person that can reverse engineer that and put out their own brand quickly could jump on that trend. And that's what you can do with AI. You can reverse engineer and you can find out the holes and the opportunities. I mean, with my new website for Ecomm Mastery, one of the things we did is we used a tool called Copy Coders. It's a $10,000 a year tool. And it actually, I see Josh is taking notes right now.
Taking notes.
It's Genesis Copy Coders. He may be stopping by Nashville, but they have a badass tool. I can go into Claude. Claude Opus 4.6 is actually really good, but those are general purpose tools. If you go into a very highly trained AI tool that's trained on like the last 100 years of copywriting and all the hooks and all the pain points and all this kind of stuff, that's what they've done. It's incredible. So I can go in there and create an avatar. So I can go in there and give it a couple pain points and a couple links to a site, and it will go out and it will find all the pain points and create like fictional characters. This is Susie. This is actually those fictional stories. So you can get into the mind and the empathy of the customer. And then when you take that, then you go and you create what's called copy blocks. And these are the actual pain points you need to address. And I did it for one of mine. It listed like 250. You can't do all 250, but you pick the ones that are most important. And then you do your marketing, whether it's your ads, whether it's your emails, whether it's your videos around those pain points, and you watch the sales skyrocket. Now, how do you know if I've got 250 of them? How am I going to know which ones work? I have my gut feeling, maybe in my experience, and maybe I'm right, maybe I'm not. But if I can take all 250 of those, create UGC content with AI, not with humans, but with AI, and test all 250 of them, run $10, $20, whatever on Facebook, spend that's like $1,000, and the AI can knock this stuff out with different angles and different hooks, see which 10 or 15 work, or maybe less, that work the best, and then I can go out and get real humans to do it so it's more authentic and more real. And I can do that in a week and know exactly what to do and how to push my product. Those are the people that are going to win. That's who's going to win, is the ones that know how to do it. I see now it's a clash. Marketing is becoming even more important than just having a good margin. It's the marketing and how your product makes people feel and what problems it solves. And you can do that crazily good with AI. And the people that can do that can move quick, can expand their product line quick, can scale quick, as long as you can systemize it, which you can. And then there's email marketing. I mean, everybody's email set. I remember when I started my newsletter 3 years ago, I was still married, and my ex-wife now. Why are you doing email? Nobody reads emails. Everybody's on Facebook and social media. I was like, no, email is still the glue that the little river that goes through everything. And so I started the newsletter. The newsletter is going to make me close to $1 million this year in profit. And that's, not every newsletter does that, but I've monetized it and done it in a certain way that has allowed me to do that. And then email marketing, we're doing that with Dragonfish for clients now, where we're doing the same thing, where we go in and do an avatar, and we create that, and we can take their list. So a lot of these Amazon sellers, we're starting there. They don't have a big list. Some of them have no list, but some of them they've been doing product inserts, or maybe have a Shopify site and they got a couple thousand names. We can take those, model them, give an avatar, and help them double their sales or triple their sales to those people just by doing email sequences and writing them the right way. Not, hey, we got a 20% sale for Easter, come check it out. No, but actually hitting their pain points and doing it the right way. And then we're doing intent-based marketing, where in the United States, there is no such thing as privacy. It doesn't exist. So in the United States, there's co-ops. There's a big one that has about 200 something participants, T-Mobile, Amex, you name it, and they contribute data anonymously. So me and you both have a big, long, anonymous string of characters. That's me and you. You're not supposed to know who that is. But when you combine all this anonymous stuff together and other databases of past actions that knows that Josh clicked on a link on this site, this ad was served on his computer, you can triangulate and you can figure out who these people are. And you reverse match that to other databases of their email addresses and their names, and you can even know the last 3 charges on their Amex card. So with that, you can take AI and really fine tune who is your target audience. For my event, I got a list of people who have been to Seller Central, Amazon Seller Central. They've logged in the last 3 days to Amazon Seller Central. It's an anonymous list, 450,000 people. Out of that, 270,000 of them had full identifying records. And then I cleaned the list, and about 170,000 that I feel confident that I could send an email to. Now, I can't just blast an email out through my system. Everything goes to spam. So you have to do a cold email way, and there's techniques there and strategies, and I got hundreds of domains that has to be piecemealed and stuff, but it's effective. Unfortunately, I didn't get the data in time to actually ramp it all the way up to what I need to do, because I got to do it in pieces, but it's working. And then I can create custom audiences out of that. But we can do that for email too. So that's a way where you can not only nurture your current list, you can find new leads and bring them into your ecosystem depending on what you're selling. And we'll get it to the point where we're not doing this right now, but this is in the roadmap, is with AI will come in and augment that. So if I know, Josh, you were losing your hair, and I know that on your social media on Facebook, because I scrape your Facebook, that you recently took a trip to Italy, and that you have 2 dogs, I could write an email to you that says, let's say you're worried about losing your hair and you're looking for some shampoo to stop it from losing. I can write an email to you that says, hey, Josh, have you ever been on an airplane and you're sitting there, it starts with a story, because starting a story is a good way to start an email. And you're sitting on an airplane. And I know you're on an airplane recently, because I scraped with Amplify, I scraped your email on your Facebook. Sitting on an airplane, you looked at the empty seat next to you before someone sat down, and there was some hair in the seat. And you're looking at it, you're thinking to yourself, that's not my dog's hair, because I know you have hair. You have a dog. And you touch your head and you look at your hand, and there's a little bit of grit there. And you're like, oh my God, that's actually my hair. I'm losing my hair. How embarrassing. And you're about to take this trip to Europe, because I know you went to Italy. I'm not going to say Italy and freak you out, but you're about to take this trip to Europe or whatever. You should have brought up, if you had the 3-ounce bottle of XYZ shampoo, you could have been applying whatever. You get my drift here. I can customize it to every single email is unique. It's like bypasses all the spam filters, and it goes right into your heart and right into your pain points and your needs. And that's where it'll get to. So the people that are moving in that direction of using the technology, not to spook people, but to actually gain an advantage, are going to win.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, Kevin. Here's the thing that came up in my mind when you were talking about OpenClaw, and even OpenAI just made that guy a job offer to come join them at OpenAI. Here's what I think is going to be really fascinating. The headlines are all exciting and clickbait worthy that says, hey, who's going to build the first $100 million business with just one person and a whole bunch of AI bots, right? Like, will that happen? I'm sure it will. Somebody's going to figure it out. They're going to find like a super niche product. They're going to crush it. It's super trendy, whatever it is. That's a great opportunity. But for longevity, one of the things that I think will never go away is human capital truly is the biggest and probably like the biggest arbitrage opportunity that exists today and will exist for eternity, because there are certain traits, skills, talents that we all have, and others have the other traits, skills, and talents that we need. And I feel like that's part of the design of us. We have to go figure out who we can go work with. That's kind of why society is designed that way.
I think the lower end, the middle level is gonna have a problem. The higher end, the people that are creative, the people that can think outside the box, the human side. I mean, a machine can only do algorithms and algorithmic stuff. It can't think, at least not right now. It can't actually think. I can sit here and you say something, and then someone says something to me later today, and I can put those two things together. You go, wait, what if I do this and I do that, and I combine this? So it's how to use the tools more than it is the tools going to use us. And so that's where a lot of people, I think, get scared of it. And there may be some issues that come, some things that go awry, but the human side of it, humans are still going to want that human connection. You look at now, you can tell a lot of times when ChatGPT is something that wrote it because it puts M dashes. Now you can tell ChatGPT, write this without M dashes. And it says, okay. And there's like 60 words. You can always tell it always uses these like words. You can say, okay, write it without these 60 commonly used words. It'll say, okay. But you got to tell it these things. And then it's getting better and better. But the human side of things, you're going to need a human overseeing it, whether it's the one person running the $100 million company, like you said, you're going to need people. A human needs to be in the loop. It's not, you can't just turn it over to the machine and say, go for it, I'm going to the beach. If you do, you're going to have you're going to get a nasty call on your WhatsApp from your Claude bot saying, I ain't working no more.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that statement. And, here's my personal take on AI stuff. Like, I'm not a tech geek, but I stay close enough to at least be aware of like what's moving. I haven't done anything with OpenClaw yet. I know there's a lot of exciting things, but I'm going to let a lot of people go out in front. There's always the early adopters, right? And they spend a lot of time adopting things. And guess what? Somebody's going to come out with the right, kind of like framework. Oh, this is exactly how to use OpenClaw or whatever the tool is for e-commerce for this very, very specific use case.
I think what's going to happen is OpenClaw is maybe not. It's going to be the underlying engine, and on top of it's going to be sitting Josh's Ecomm off back office or something, and you're not going to have to know nothing about OpenClaw. Yeah, it's the process, and you're layered on top, and so you don't got to know all that inner coding. It's going to be something along those lines, and people would pay you or partner with you to actually use that. But that was interesting. I was just at a newsletter conference in Austin last week, big newsletter conference, like 600 people. They had they had Cody Sanchez there. They had some big people. But there's one guy that does good money on emails for a big brand. And what surprised me is at one point in his talk, he's like, no, we don't use AI for anything. We're anti-AI in our company. And I was thinking to myself, that's a mistake. I can understand maybe you don't want it right in your newsletter or whatever, but say, no, I think AI is a hype, and I think it's overhyped, and I don't see anything in it. And about half of the room clapped. They actually clapped. Cheered and clapped. And I was like, wow. I had no idea there's that much anti-sentiment to AI out there. And this is a crowd of internet marketing type of people. A lot of them are writers. It was a newsletter conference, so there's a lot of people that are creative writers and stuff. But it's using the tool. Use the tools to appeal to humans. But at the same time, depends on where agentic stuff goes. Where you say you got 4 kids and there's back to school time in August, and you're like, I got to buy new shoes and new notebooks and whatever. And if you can just go in, you and your wife, or you or your wife, or both of you have to go to Walmart, pick everything up, or order it online, figure out what they need. If it could just like, here's my kids go to this elementary school, it pulls the freaking list of all the stuff they need, and then your agent just goes and finds the best price on Walmart, on Etsy, on Amazon, and wherever it is, and just automatically puts it in the cart and buys it in your credit cards, and you're like done. And it shows up, and here's a box that shows up 2 days later on your desk, like, here's Susie's, all her supplies. You had to do nothing. That just gave you time back and gave you that you could go spend with your kids in the park or whatever. But that means you got to talk to the machine too. So marketing is changing where we were talking just to humans. Now we're talking to machines and humans. That's the game. That's going to be, how do you figure that out to where you use the tools, it doesn't become too machiney or too AI or too AI slop, and it still appeals to humans, but appeals to the machines. And that's where like schema comes in on AEO and LMS.txt and FAQs and all that to appeal to the machines. But humans don't care about, some people are saying that websites, you're going to have 2 websites in the future. You're going to have one that looks like a Discord, and it's just a bunch of FAQs and a bunch of how you compare to everything else. And then you have another one that's actually human front facing. And that's going to be the way it's going to be. And it may be, I don't know, but it's in very interesting times that we're living in, and some radical changes are happening. I mean, you just look at even what's going on with AI and the war that just broke out, a few weeks ago in Iran. AI is playing a major part in that. Why do you think the U.S. government wanted Claude? And Claude's like, no, we know what our tool can do. We're not going to let you misuse it. And then OpenAI came and said, we'll do it. And raise our hand. We'll take their place. So it's huge. It's huge. And I think the biggest issue, I was talking to some people after this newsletter conference. We went to dinner, and I was like, yeah, a lot of people just don't understand it. They've gone on ChatGPT and told to write an email, or they use ChatGPT like they use Google, or they've asked for some advice on, my child has sniffles, what should I do? And it gets some advice back. They don't understand what it can truly do. The geeky people do, the technological people do, but the average person doesn't understand it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. In some ways that's okay, but those are people that are going to get left behind.
Yeah.
If they're trying to do business. If they're just retired and enjoying life, retire and enjoy life. But yeah, the people they're going to get left behind.
Things are shifting already. And one of the important things that I think like any brand owner can do right now, if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, well, I mean, I need to be doing OpenClaw. Oh, and I need to be on TikTok Shop. Oh, and I need to have my own Shopify storefront, but I'm only an Amazon seller right now. I mean, that's a very tall order to think that like you've got to be a master of all of those. And frankly speaking, you're not going to be. And that's why I think like one of the fundamental things that you can do, I think there's two things. Number one, get your data in order. And the reason why I say that is I had Ellis Whitehead on the podcast and he talked about, look, AI is great. However, if you're just downloading an Amazon business report and uploading it to Claude or ChatGPT, it doesn't matter. And you ask it for its advice of like, hey, what should I do with my listing now? Here's my conversion rate. It's going to look at that and it's going to confidently tell you an answer. However, it doesn't actually know, like you're just uploading a report. It doesn't actually know the actual schema of that report. And it's going to make assumption on certain columns where it's possibly unclear. What does this column actually mean? And the little connections that you just talked about, Kevin, where it's like, it's just going to assume things when in reality, it means the opposite. Mm-hmm. And so he talked about like, own your own data, have, I think the most important thing anybody could do right now is like, get their own API calls going into Amazon and any other platforms you're selling on, send it to a data warehouse, have a clear structure where you've tagged it and you maintain it to say, this column means exactly this. This column means exactly that. And then when you have that, then everything else will layer on top of it, right? It's the LLMs sit on top of really good data so that it can point you in the right direction. Otherwise, AI is going to run you off a cliff and point you in the wrong direction. I think that's where like the nuances come in right now.
A lot of people, they don't give it enough. This is another way of saying this. What you're saying is give it the right information in the right context. A lot of people go in and they'll just type in a prompt and they'll upload their data and they'll say, analyze this and tell me which keywords I should be going after or something like that. No, you need to give it a brief, not a prompt. A brief is like, here's my latest data. This is how it's structured. Here's another file and this is what it is. This is what I'm looking to accomplish is X, Y, and Z. Tell me where this hole is in this hole. These are some of the flags that you need to be looking for. Put this out in an Excel document and then a PDF report with action steps that are easy for a fourth grader to understand so I can hand it to my VA, blah, 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 and list it all the way down and give it a brief and then run it. And the results will be dramatically different.
Yep. I love it. It's an exciting time to be alive, but it's adaptability. And that's what I would say. The encouraging signal is, look, all of us that have been in the business space, like it's amazing how much the world has changed over the past 2 decades, let alone how much it's changing right now. And so with AI, like we are on warp speed, but again, I think have some confidence in yourself, knowing like you've weathered other storms. You will weather this storm. If you're already tracking this and you're at least familiar with Claudebot and OpenClaw, like if you're at least familiar with those terms, you're probably ahead of like 80% of the population. So you can pat yourself on the back. It is the advanced level. There's always going to be people ahead of you that are super nerded out on this stuff. And that's okay. I think the most important thing that any seller can do is like focus on like one thing at a time. And I just see way too many sellers, Kevin, that just like get distracted. They go to another conference, another webinar. Their focus was on launching this new product, but then they heard about OpenAI and their integration and then TikTok. So now it's like, now they've essentially done nothing over the past month, but they've got 50% completed on 5 different projects. You know what I mean? I think that's
you need to pick one. So the thing to do is like the way you optimize for Perplexity is slightly different than ChatGPT, is slightly different than Gemini, slightly different than Claude. Trying to do all of them is a mistake right now for most people. But you need one marketplace channel that's a big market. So that's Walmart or Amazon primarily, or eBay or whatever. But for most of the people listening, it's Amazon. You need one text-based channel where you're doing the social stuff. That could be LinkedIn, it could be X, it could be Threads. Only focus on one. Don't worry about the rest. Maybe you have a presence there, but you just kind of ignore it. And then one social video channel. That could be YouTube, it could be TikTok Shop, it could be Instagram, one of them. And just focus on one of each of those. And then maybe you have your email because that's part of your selling. And maybe you have a Shopify. And that's it. But that's 4. That's still a lot to juggle and to do for one person. But too many people try to do all of them. And they want to be on Walmart, Shopify, Etsy, eBay, and then they want to make sure they're optimized for all the different LLMs, and then make sure they're optimized for, just pick. and focus. And then once you got that mastered, you get more team members or you get more systems, then expand that out. And that's what would be my recommendation on that. And if you don't understand it, you can hire people pretty cheaply to help you set this up. I mean, I was just recently setting up cold email sequences. I try to do this myself for Dragonfish, and I've been sending email for 30 years, but all warm for me and not a whole lot of cold. But when you start sending mass cold email, it's a whole new game. And you get blocked really fast. And then domain age matters and the DKIM. And then, so there's a process where you get domains and you send 2 to 5 emails per email address per day. And that's it. And you have to have no more than 3 emails per domain. And there's a whole bunch of stuff. And I tried to do this myself. Like, you know what? I understand it enough, but let me just hire somebody. So I went on to Upwork, found one guy gave me a bid for $4,000. Another guy said, no, I'll do it for $45 an hour. Another guy said, I'll do it for $450 the whole project. And all of them, I got on the phone with all of them, talked to them. And I ended up hiring the guy that's $45 an hour. Wasn't the cheapest, but it's the one I thought could do the best job. Now he's up and running. This was Sunday, 3 days ago. Now I have 600 something domains. We're tied into Scale Mail. We're tied into Email Bison and all this stuff. And the process of warming up is starting right now. And so it's just finding, like you said, it's people. It's not all trying to figure it out yourself. Understand it and then go hire the right people to do whatever if you can't do it yourself or don't want to do it yourself, hire the right people and you can find them. There's people, I mean, I have a guy in Indonesia that does clay and app automations for $7 an hour, and he's very good. So you can find people, and you have a system. If those of you aren't aware, make sure you check out Josh's system on how he weeds through people. It's a really, really good system for hiring good people. But yeah, people are still needed. So that one person, $100 million company, I don't know. Someone may get to that, but see if it sustains.
That is.
Yeah, actually might get to it. You might have a guy says, I hit 100 million.
Yep.
It's just me. And he rode some trend or some fad or something. Yes. He's right place, right time. But see if it sustains. I seriously doubt if it sustains. You'll see the headline: Josh Hatley, one person, $100 million business, and then we'll be like, where is he now? He'll be like Shark Tank. You know, they do that revisiting thing on Shark Tank where they come back.
Homeless.
He's under a bridge in Dallas in East Elm with a little cup.
No,
please, I want something from Terry Black's. Don't give me this McDonald's stuff anymore.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, Kevin. And that's kind of like the message I'd love to just kind of like send off our sellers with here. So I love to leave every episode with 3 actionable takeaways. Here are the 3 I noted, Kevin. Let me know if you think I'm missing something. But action item number 1 is you've got to focus. And my favorite like phrase and tagline that I keep saying on repeat right now is focus and systems scale while distraction kills. And I think it's exactly what you talked about. They hear about all the LLMs. They hear about all the sales channels. They hear about all the different PPC strategies. And then they try to do all of them all at the same time. And when you do that, you dilute your focus completely. You never move the ball far enough to actually see the results out of any of those experiments. And then you just chalk everything up as a loss. And so it's really important to like hone in. This comes down to business strategy. Unlimited opportunities, limited resources. How good can you get at being able to prioritize and stay locked in on that one thing until you beat that level? Then you earn a privilege to go back to the next stage. So that leads to action item number 2, which is systems and processes. If there's one core thing that I keep coming back to with whether it's just like naturally scaling your business, you have to get really good at documenting a system and process, even if you're to hire a team member and give it to a VA. Or if you're going to add a new agent or have an LLM executing a task for you, it's only as good as the process and the system that you create. So at the end of the day, whether you're using human team members or you're using an agent, an AI agent to go execute things for you, it's only good as like how good you've documented your processes. So that's a fundamental step in you being able to advance to the next level is documenting those systems. And finally, action item number 3 goes back to what we just talked about. I don't believe there's going to like a one-man, $100 million brand out there. I'm sure it happens. And he has a bunch of AI agents, but I don't think it sustains itself. I truly believe that like the biggest arbitrage opportunities that exist now and will exist for forever is human intellect and human capital. And yeah, it's not the customer service, level people that are operating like a AI agent that you need. What you need is like somebody that can build the architecture for the system and process and manage it, verify that you're getting the right results. And oftentimes AI is going to mess up just like a team member would. So you have to go correct it, give it feedback, update the custom GPT instructions, whatever it is, so that it just gets better and better and better over time. And that's why for me, I want to go hire people that are smarter than me. I want to hire people smarter than me in supply chain. I want to hire people that are smarter than me in product development and in operations, in finance, because I know that they will then be able to run the systems and processes underneath them. And ideally in the future, a lot of that is AI driven, but it's only going to be as good as my leaders that understand those and create the right architecture for those systems. So Kevin, anything else you would add or anything?
No, I think that was very good. That was very good.
Awesome.
I think you covered it well there.
Kevin, final question for you then. What's your favorite AI tool that you've been using, and how have you been using it?
Cowork.
How have you been using it?
Oh, dude, man. I can give you 3 examples real quick. One of them is, you know how we always go to conferences and you're taking pictures of slides and stuff. Well, how often have you gone back and actually looked at most of your slides that you took at a conference, pictures of the slides you took? I mean, maybe if it's super important and like really struck a chord, you might do that. But most of them, you probably go back years of all these slides. There's gold in there. So what I did is I told an Apple photo, said find all, I use an AI tool. I said find all the slides that are 16 by 9, all the pictures that are 16 by 9 format and have text on them and look like a slide. So we did like, I don't know, 1,200 or something I had from 10 years of conferences or something. Download those all into a folder. Went into Claude Cowork and said, this is your folder that you need to pay attention to. I want you to go through and pull out, extract all the data and all these slides and organize it for me and give me bullet point summaries, list every single tool in the URL, do all this stuff. So if I went to a conference on newsletters last year, another one the year before, and some Funnel Hacking Live 3 years ago, where they talked about it combined all the like stuff together and gave me all these summaries of everything and all the URLs that were mentioned. I'm like, holy cow. It's like Cliff Notes for all my slides, which I never want to do. That's one use. Another one is I was doing the graphics. My graphics guy in Pakistan finished all the graphics for Ecomm Mastery, and we had 41 speakers. Each speaker had 4 different graphic sizes. So depending that we wanted to send out to them in case they want to use them. I don't ask people to post their graphics on social, but we create them because I think that's tacky to say, hey, you go sell my event for me. But there's people that want to do it and they just do it out of courtesy, and that's fine. So we had 4 different ones, but they're all in one folder. And I was like, I need to organize all these. And so I told Claude, organize these into 4 different folders by person. So I need like Josh Hadley and Becca Hadley. Go find all 4 of their sizes, put all Josh's in his folder, put all of Becca's in her folder. And it did that. I gave it one folder. It just said, hey, you misnamed Josh. You spelled it J-S-O-H instead of J-O-S-H. I think that's the same person. So I put it in this folder just in case. You might want to go check and fix the spelling. And it did all that stuff. It's just crazy. It did that in like 20 seconds. It would take me like drag and drop all this place. Another one is presentation. So we're doing a webinar, an AEO webinar about a month ago. And it's like, what am I going to do this on this webinar? I was like, oh yeah, I don't want to spend 8 hours or 10 hours making this presentation, but I have this folder on my computer that says AI webinar. So every time I would see a news story or something I put in my newsletter or a clip of something, I would just drop it in there. So it's just, list 200 different screenshots and PDFs and whatever things that I thought might be good for an AEO webinar. I assigned Claude Cowork that folder and said, I'm creating a webinar. I want it to be in the Russell Brunson style. I want to do this. And I gave it all, I gave it a brief like we talked about earlier and said, this is exactly what I want. I want to start off this way and talk about the history and why it's important and lead into some practical and show some tips and then end up with a sell. Make me a PowerPoint presentation for that. 10 minutes later, I had a done PowerPoint presentation, all designs, looking good, not like crappy, like little stuff. And I was like, I was blown away. And I had to go and tweak it a little bit. That's that human side. Go in, it messed up a couple of little things, but it had graphics, it had images. And I told it, if you reference one of the screenshots that has a chart on it, give me the name and the PDF, just put the PowerPoint in parentheses, so I can go and upload the higher resolution version. So it did that. So there's a few of them I went in and like, oh, I need to find this file and just replace it so it's higher resolution. It's freaking awesome. That's just 3 quick uses.
Love it.
You can go way beyond that.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
Great use cases. You got my mind spinning already. So I love it. Kevin, this has been awesome. If people want to learn more about you, find more and follow you along or attend your upcoming event, where's the best place for people to go? Yeah, to follow me, just best to get on the newsletter. Then you'll know everything I'm doing. $billiondollarsellers.com, billion with a B, dollarsellers.com. It's a free newsletter every Monday and Thursday. And then if you want to come to the event in Nashville, ecommmastery.ai or ecommmasteryai.com. Either one of those will get you some information. Hope you see you there. Josh will be there. Becca will be there. I'll be there, of course. It's going to be awesome. Looking forward to it, Kevin. Thanks again for your time today. Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Thank you for listening. Visit ecommbreakthrough.com for more information. If you've enjoyed today's episode, the best way you can show your appreciation is by clicking the subscribe button and quickly leaving a review. See you again next time.